They rarely arrive snarling. They arrive smiling, offering flattery, charm, and the exact traits you are looking for in a partner or a leader. Psychologists categorize these personalities under the Dark Triad, a spectrum of narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. While the masks vary, from the grandiose executive to the fragile, constant victim, they share a core defined by callousness and exploitation. For anyone caught in their orbit, the daily reality is a state of hypervigilance. You spend your hours walking on eggshells, replaying conversations, and doubting your own memory. When the relationship fractures, your instinct is to repair it using standard interpersonal tools. You attempt to communicate your feelings, negotiate boundaries, and offer empathy, assuming the other person wants a mutual resolution. But the manipulator is operating under a completely different psychological architecture. To them, empathy is not a bridge to understanding. It is a vulnerability to be cataloged and weaponized. If you treat a Dark Triad personality like a typical, empathetic human being, you are guaranteeing your own continued exhaustion. You are playing by rules they abandoned long ago. To understand how to defend yourself, you have to look past their projected confidence and examine the clinical deficit driving them. Beneath the surface, there is a profound emptiness. This flowchart illustrates how that void operates. They require a constant external influx of what clinicians call narcissistic supply. This supply can be positive, validation, and admiration, or it can be negative, fear, drama, and conflict. The core simply consumes it to regulate a fragile self-esteem. Clinical experts identify 4 specific pillars of this supply. They extract sex, emotional supply, stability, and safety or submissive services. If you can provide any 2 of these 4, you are integrated into their system. Crucially, being identity of the person providing these pillars does not matter. The manipulator values the utility of the service, not the humanity of the provider. Targets are entirely interchangeable. They view human interaction the way most people view a utility provider. If the internet goes down, you find a new provider. There is no emotional attachment to the router itself. You are not a loved one or a partner. You are a mechanical input, and off-the-shelf disposable source of fuel. Extracting that fuel requires a systematic approach, relying on a highly predictable set of behavioral traps. The cycle begins with idealization, often called love bombing. They shower you with intense affection and extreme attention, securing your emotional investment and lowering your defenses. Once you are secured, the devaluation begins. The qualities they once praised become targets for scorn. They deploy constant nitpicking and shift the goalposts, ensuring that no matter how hard you work to please them, you always fall short. If you confront them about this behavior, they deploy a specific defensive strategy. This block chart breaks down DARVO. First, they deny the event ever occurred, flatly refusing to acknowledge reality. Next, they attack. The focus shifts entirely away from their actions and onto your character, your sanity, or your credibility. They weaponize your past mistakes to discredit your current complaint. Finally, they execute a reverse victim and defender maneuver. They position themselves as the injured party, claiming your confrontation is an abusive attack on them. The psychological flip is complete when you find yourself apologizing for bringing up their misconduct. They reinforce this disorientation through gaslighting, making you doubt your own memories, and triangulation, pulling in third parties to validate their narrative and isolate you. During these conflicts, your distress is highly valuable to them, your tears of frustration, your detailed explanations, your desperate attempts at defense, all prove that they still have power over you. Engaging in the argument is not defending yourself. It is feeding the exact emotional supply the conflict was engineered to extract. Because their behavior is governed by a rigid need for supply, their actions are predictable, and predictability can be countered. You cannot win their game, but you can stop playing. The objective is transactional extinction. You must bankrupt the manipulator by completely severing their access to your emotional fuel. This requires adopting the gray rock method. Like a fire starved of oxygen, you must become utterly unrewarding to interact with. You achieve this by offering zero emotional reactions to their provocations. Your responses become brief, flat, and monotone. You stop sharing your personal wins, your fears, and your plans. You become the most boring person in the room. When you cut off the supply, they will initially escalate the abuse, testing your boundaries to force a reaction. But if you maintain the strict neutrality of a gray rock, the interaction becomes clinically unsatisfying, and they will eventually lose interest. Absolute emotional detachment and weaponized boredom neutralize the parasite. They cannot manipulate a target that gives them nothing to work with. Sometimes a complete exit is impossible. If you share a workplace, a business, or custody of children, you have to maintain communication without offering supply. In these scenarios, use the BIFF protocol for all written communication. This matrix displays the framework. First, keep your messages brief. A single tight sentence removes the surface area they use to twist your words. Second, keep it informative. Strip out all opinions, psychological assessments, and emotional defenses. Supply only dry objective facts. Finally, remain friendly and firm. Keep the tongue strictly professional. Set a hard boundary, close the loop on the conversation. And never include an apology or an invitation for further debate. Be prepared for hoovering. Once their new sources of supply fail, they will try to vacuum you back into the cycle with fake remorse and empty promises of change. It is merely a test of your boundaries. By recognizing their tactics, locking down your emotional responses, and utilizing strict communication protocols, you shatter their illusion of dominance, you starve the parasite, and you reclaim your independence.